The massive Zoraxian ship hung in space like a dark cloud, its jagged edges breaking the light of Earth's sun. On the command bridge, High Commander Zikrath watched the blue planet on the main screen with 6 yellow eyes. His scaled skin shifted, colors from deep purple to bright orange as excitement filled his body. "So this is the human world," Zikrath said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "It looks weak and wet." Officer Vextar bowed low before speaking. "Our scouts report the humans have only basic space travel. They fight among themselves often. They will make easy slaves for the Imperium." Zikrath moved his large body from the command chair and walked to the viewing window. The war beasts were his greatest pride. The Imperium had used them to take over 30 planets. No species had ever lasted more than 2 cycles once the beasts were dropped. "Prepare the first wave of war beast pods," Zikrath ordered. "Target their wild areas first. Let them know fear before we take their world." Down on Earth, Captain Alan Wright stood in the control room of North American Defense Base Alpha. He was tall, with short brown hair and serious eyes. At 42, he had served in 3 wars and thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lisa Bailey, the young radar specialist. Her fingers moved quickly over her screen. "We've got multiple objects entering our atmosphere. They're not matching any known satellite or debris patterns." Wright leaned over her shoulder. The objects were coming in fast, but not like normal meteors. They were slowing down, controlled. "Get me Director Miller," Wright ordered, "and put the base on alert level 2. Within minutes, the face of Susan Miller appeared on the main screen. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back tightly, and worry lines creased her forehead. "Captain Wright, please tell me those radar contacts are a malfunction," she said. "Negative, Director. We're tracking 217 objects. They're slowing as they descend and appear to be targeting unpopulated areas. Forests, deserts, mountains. This doesn't look like a direct attack. It's something else." Miller's expression darkened. "We're seeing the same pattern globally. Whatever these things are, they're landing worldwide." The first reports came in 3 hours later. A family of hikers in Oregon had been found dead. The local sheriff described the scene as like nothing I've ever seen. Similar reports began, flooding in from Russia, Australia, Canada, and 24 other countries. Wright was called to an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council. The large screen showed representatives from every major nation. Director Miller stood at the main podium. 20 minutes ago we received this transmission," she said, nodding to a technician. The screen changed to show a strange alien face. It had 6 yellow eyes arranged in a circle in scaled purple skin. When it spoke, its mouth opened to reveal 4 rows of sharp teeth. "People of Earth, I am High Commander Zikrath of the Zoraxian Imperium. Your planet has been selected for conquest. We have released our war beasts on your world. They will hunt you. They will kill you. When enough of you have died, you will surrender to us and join our empire as servants. This is inevitable. No world has ever resisted the war beasts." The room exploded with voices until Director Miller raised her hand for silence. "We've analyzed the landing sites," she said. "These pods contain biological weapons, genetically engineered predators. The aliens are trying to terrorize us into submission." General Frank Howard stood up. He was a big man with a deep voice that filled the room. "We need to evacuate civilians from affected areas and deploy military units to hunt these things down." "Agreed," said Miller. "But we need experts who understand predator behavior. This isn't just a military problem." That was how Dr. Nancy Thompson found herself sitting in a helicopter next to Captain Wright the next morning. She was 38, with short black hair and glasses. Her background was in wildlife biology, specializing in predator behavior. "I still don't understand why I'm here," she shouted over the noise of the helicopter. "I study Earth animals, not alien monsters." Wright handed her a tablet. "Look at these attack patterns. These things may be alien, but they're still predators. They establish territory. They ambush. They have patterns. We need someone who can think like they do." The helicopter landed in a clearing near Mount Rainier National Park. 3 hikers had been killed here yesterday. The forest was eerily quiet. as Wright led a team of 12 soldiers and Dr. Thompson into the trees. Thompson knelt by a set of strange tracks in the mud. They were like nothing she had ever seen, 6 toes with claw marks that dug deep into the ground, but the pattern was familiar. "It's stalking," she said quietly. "See how the tracks circle around to higher ground? It's looking for ambush points, just like a mountain lion would." Wright signaled his team to spread out. They moved through the forest with weapons ready. Thompson pointed out more signs: claw marks on trees, strange saliva that burned the vegetation, and finally blood. "The victims were killed here," Wright said, looking at the disturbed ground. "But where did it take the bodies?" Thompson pointed. Up high in a tree barely visible was a dark shape. "It's made a nest," she whispered. "These things aren't just killing for territory, they're—" She stopped, her face pale. "They're what?" Wright asked. "They're learning about us, studying us. See how that body is arranged? It's been examining our clothing, our gear. This isn't just an animal. It's intelligent." A low growl came from behind them. Wright turned slowly. 20 feet away stood a nightmare. It was the size of a tiger, but with 6 legs and a body covered in iridescent scales that shifted from green to red. Its head had no eyes that Wright could see, but it had a mouth that split open in 4 directions, revealing rows of curved teeth. "Nobody move," Thompson whispered. "It's assessing if we're threats." The beast stepped forward, its claws digging into the earth. One of the soldiers panicked and fired. The bullet hit the beast's shoulder, but instead of blood, a thick yellow fluid oozed out. The creature didn't fall. It roared, a sound that made Wright's ears ring, and leaped. It moved faster than anything Wright had ever seen. 2 soldiers went down before anyone could react. Wright fired his rifle, hitting the beast multiple times, but it kept coming. Thompson grabbed a flare gun from her pack and fired directly at the creature's mouth. The beast screamed as the burning flare lodged in its throat. It thrashed wildly, giving Wright and his remaining team time to retreat to higher ground. "Normal bullets aren't working," Wright said, breathing hard. "We need something stronger." Thompson was looking at the yellow fluid on the ground. "It's bleeding, so it can be hurt. We just need to find its weakness." From their position, they watched as the beast finally dislodged the flare. Instead of chasing them, it returned to its victims, examining the weapons that had fallen. "It's learning," Thompson said again. "Adapting." Wright's radio crackled. It was Director Miller. "Captain, report status. We've engaged one of the war beasts. Conventional weapons are ineffective. It's killed 2 of my team. But Dr. Thompson has insights." "All teams are reporting similar findings," Miller said. "These things are designed to cause terror. But remember what the alien said. They've used these on 30 other worlds. Worlds that weren't Earth. Worlds that didn't have humans." Wright looked at Thompson, understanding dawning in his eyes. "You think we can beat these things?" Miller's voice was firm. "I think that dropping war beasts on a human planet might be the biggest mistake these aliens have ever made. We don't break easily, Captain. And now we know what we're up against." Wright watched as the beast below started to follow their trail up the hill. "Then let's show these aliens what humans do to predators that threaten our world." 3 days after their first encounter with the war beast, Captain Wright stood in a makeshift command center. Maps covered the walls with red dots showing beast sightings across North America. Dr. Thompson sat at a table surrounded by reports and tissue samples. "The yellow fluid we collected is breaking down our lab equipment," she said, looking up from her notes. "Their blood is like acid, but only when it's exposed to air." Wright nodded. "That explains why shooting them isn't very effective. We hurt them, but the wounds heal quickly." Director Miller's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. "Captain, we're getting reports from around the world. Australia and Russia have managed to kill 2 of these things." This got everyone's attention. Wright leaned forward. "How? What worked?" "In Australia, they found that extreme heat makes the beasts sluggish. Ranger Steve Collins lured one into a trap in the outback and kept it exposed during the hottest part of the day. Once it slowed down, they used armor-piercing rounds to the base of its skull." Thompson made notes quickly. They must regulate body temperature differently than Earth. Animals, what about Russia? Colonel Parker discovered they react badly to certain sound frequencies. They used sonic weapons designed for riot control. It didn't kill the beast, but stunned it long enough for them to target its weak spots. Wright looked at the map. Their beast was still out there hunting in the forests of Washington State. It had killed 4 more hikers since their encounter. "We need to set a trap," he said. "Dr. Thompson, what's your assessment?" Thompson stood and pointed to the map. "It's established a territory of roughly 20 square miles. It returns to its nest every night. We've observed it caching food, the bodies, which is typical predator behavior. But here's the important part. It's hunting in a pattern." She traced a line on the map. "It follows game trails, just like Earth predators would. It's learning to hunt humans by studying how we move through the forest. It's intelligent but still bound by instinct." Wright turned to his team. "Then we use that against it. We create a hunting trail too tempting to resist." They spent the rest of the day preparing. Thompson designed a false trail using scent markers and disturbed ground. Wright's team set up position in trees and behind rocks along the path. They brought in special weapons, armor-piercing rounds, flamethrowers, and sound cannons borrowed from the Russians. As night fell, they waited in silence. Hours passed with only the normal sounds of the forest around them. "Movement," whispered Lisa Bailey through the radio. She was monitoring heat sensors from a distance. "Something big is coming from the east." Wright adjusted his night vision goggles. The forest looked green and black, shadows moving with the wind. Then he saw it. The beast moved differently than any Earth animal, its 6 legs giving it a strange flowing motion. It paused, raising its head to sniff the air. "It's testing our trail," Thompson whispered from her position nearby. "Stay still. Let it commit." Beast took the bait, following the false trail. It moved cautiously, stopping to examine the ground and air frequently. As it reached the center of their trap, Wright gave the signal. Sound cannons activated first, emitting a high-pitched frequency that made the beast rear up and thrash. As it stumbled, disoriented, the team opened fire with armor-piercing rounds, aiming for the base of its skull and the joints of its legs. The beast roared in pain, yellow fluid spraying from multiple wounds. It tried to run, but its movements were uncoordinated. Wright signaled the final phase. 2 soldiers with flamethrowers stepped forward, sending streams of fire at the creature. The beast screamed, a sound that would haunt Wright's dreams for years. Its scales, which had been shifting between colors, froze in a dull gray. After a final spasm, it lay still on the forest floor. "Approach with caution," Wright ordered. His team moved forward slowly, weapons ready. Thompson reached the beast first. She knelt beside it, careful not to touch the yellow fluid seeping from its wounds. "It's dead. We did it." A cheer went up from the team, but Wright kept his eyes on the beast. "We got lucky. This was just one. There are hundreds more across the planet." Back at base, they examined the beast's body. Thompson worked with a team of scientists to understand its biology, while Wright reported to Director Miller. "The combination of sound disruption, targeted shooting, and heat worked," he explained. "But we had the advantage of studying it for days. Other teams won't have that luxury." Miller nodded. "We need to share what we've learned with everyone. I want your team to help train other hunting groups. Dr. Thompson's insights about predator behavior are proving invaluable." On the other side of the room, Thompson was making a discovery. "Look at this," she called, pointing to something in the beast's brain tissue. "There's a small metal device embedded here. It's some kind of transmitter." Wright looked at the tiny, silver object. "They're monitoring them. The aliens are watching what the beasts do." "Which means they're watching us too," Miller said grimly. "They're studying how we fight back." "Good," Wright said. "Let them watch. Let them see that we won't be easy prey." In space, aboard the Zoraxian command ship, High Commander Zuckrath received the report about the first beast death with disbelief. "Impossible," he growled. "No species has killed a war beast this quickly." Officer Vextar showed him the final transmission from the beast's implant. The humans coordinated their attack. They studied the beast's patterns and used its hunting instincts against it. Skrath's scales darkened with anger. They are more clever than we anticipated. No matter. We have hundreds more beasts on their world. They cannot hunt them all. There is another concern, Vextar said hesitantly. The humans are sharing information globally. Methods that work in one region are being adapted for use in others. They are learning very quickly. Launch the second wave, Skrath ordered. Double the number of beasts. Let us see how brave these humans are when death comes to their cities. On Earth, as Wright's team celebrated their victory, emergency alerts sounded. Lisa Bailey looked up from her monitor with wide eyes. Captain, we've got hundreds of new objects entering the atmosphere. Bigger than before. They're heading for major population centers. Wright turned to Thompson. Looks like the aliens didn't like our answer. Thompson's face was determined as she gathered her notes. Then we better get ready to send them another message, this time even louder. Wright looked at his tired but proud team. Round 2 is beginning, and this time, we know what we're fighting. The city of Denver was in chaos. Evacuation sirens wailed as people rushed to leave before the war beast drop pods landed. Captain Wright watched from the roof of the hospital as military helicopters circled the sky. His team had been sent to help protect the evacuation. 30 minutes until impact, Lisa Bailey said, checking her tablet. Most civilians are out of the downtown area, but the hospital can't move all patients in time. Wright nodded. Then we make our stand here. Dr. Thompson, what can we expect in an urban environment? Thompson had been studying beast behaviors from reports around the world. They'll be disoriented at first. Too many smells, sounds, and movements, but they'll adapt quickly. They'll seek high ground to survey the area, then establish hunting territories. So the tall buildings will be their first targets, Wright said. We need to be ready. The hospital staff worked frantically to move patients to the underground levels. Wright's team set up defensive positions on the roof and at all entrances. They had better weapons now. Sonic disruptors, thermal charges, and special bullets, designed to penetrate beast scales and release a fast-acting poison. The first pods crashed into the city with thunderous impacts. Dust and debris filled the air. From the roof, Wright counted 7 pods within view. One had landed in the park, across from the hospital. Contact, shouted a soldier at the edge of the roof, beast emerging from the park pod. Through his binoculars, Wright saw the pod's shell crack open. This beast was different from the one they had fought in the forest. It was larger, with 8 legs instead of 6, and its scales were a deep blue that shifted to purple as it moved. They've sent a different variant, Thompson said, watching through her own binoculars. They're adapting too. The beast raised its head, scanning the area. Then, as Thompson had predicted, it began climbing the nearest tall building, an office tower across the street. It's doing exactly what you said, Wright told her. Looking for high ground. Thompson pointed to other buildings. Look, the others are doing the same. They're establishing observation points before they start hunting. Wright turned to his team. We can't let them get organized. Target the beast in the office tower first. Draw it away from civilians. The soldiers aimed, their sonic disruptors at the beast. The high-pitched sound made it falter on the side of the building. It turned toward the hospital, sensing the source of its pain. It's coming for us, Bailey warned. Good, Wright said. That's the plan. The beast leaped across the gap between buildings with impossible strength. It landed on the edge of the hospital roof, its claws digging into concrete. The soldiers opened fire, hitting it with poison bullets. Yellow fluid sprayed from its wounds, but the beast kept coming. Fall back to position 2, Wright ordered. His team retreated to a prepared area where sprinklers had been filled with a mixture of fuel and chemicals. The beast charged after them, entering the trap zone. Wright hit the switch. Sprinklers activated, drenching the beast in the flammable mixture. One soldier fired a flare and the beast was engulfed in flames. It howled in pain but didn't die. Instead, it crashed through a door and disappeared inside the hospital building. It's headed for the lower levels, Bailey said, checking the security cameras on her tablet. Toward the patients. Wright led a team after it, following the trail of yellow blood and destruction. They found it in a hallway outside the intensive care unit, where staff were still evacuating patients. "Distract it!" Wright shouted. His soldiers fired sonic weapons, making the beast turn from the hospital staff. It roared and charged the soldiers instead. Thompson had moved to the side, carrying a large tank with tubes attached. "Captain, drive it back this way!" Wright's team retreated, step by step keeping the beast's attention. When it was in position, Thompson opened the valve on her tank. A cloud of white gas enveloped the beast. It stumbled, shaking its head in confusion. "Liquid nitrogen," she explained as Wright reached her side. "Extreme cold should slow it down, just like heat did in Australia." The beast's movements became sluggish as the cold affected its body. Wright signaled his team to target its joints and head with the poison bullets. This time the beast couldn't move fast enough to dodge. It collapsed in the hallway, its scales fading from vibrant purple to dull gray. "Is it dead?" a nurse asked. From behind a barricade, Thompson checked with a scanner. "Yes. Its body temperature is dropping rapidly. The poison reached its brain." Outside, the battle for Denver continued. Reports came in from other teams across the city. 3 beasts had been killed, but 4 were still hunting. And Denver was just one of 20 cities under attack worldwide. In the hospital lab, Thompson worked quickly to examine the new beast variant. "The aliens are learning from their mistakes," she said as Wright joined her. "This one has thicker scales where we targeted the first one, and its blood is less acidic when exposed to air." "We beat it anyway," Wright said. Thompson nodded. "Yes, but each variant will be harder to kill than the last. We need to do more than just react, we need to get ahead of them." She pointed to the metal implant she'd removed from the beast's brain. "These transmitters send data back to the aliens. What if we could use them to send false information?" Wright leaned closer. "What kind of false information?" "We could make them think certain weapons don't work anymore, or that the beasts are winning when they're not. We could confuse their entire strategy." A messenger interrupted them. "Captain, Director Miller needs you immediately. They've captured something important." In a secure facility beneath Denver, Wright and Thompson were led to a heavily guarded room. Inside was a creature unlike the beasts. It was humanoid but taller than any human, with purple scaled skin and 6 yellow eyes. It wore damaged armor and was restrained to a chair. Director Miller stood nearby. "This is a Zoraxian." It was in one of the pods controlling the beast. Lieutenant Sam Jones and her team captured it when they killed the beast it was handling. Wright stared at the alien. "They're sending handlers now? Why?" "Because they're scared," Thompson said, studying the alien. "The beasts weren't working well enough on their own. They needed direct control." Miller nodded. "This is our first look at our enemy, and our first chance to get real intelligence." The Zoraxian looked at them with hatred in its 6 eyes. Wright stepped forward, facing the creature that had brought so much death to Earth. "Tell your leaders they've made a mistake," he said. "Humans don't surrender to predators. We hunt them to extinction." The alien's translator device made a clicking sound before it spoke. "You cannot win. The war beasts are just the beginning. The Imperium never fails." Wright smiled coldly. First time for everything. Thompson was examining the alien's armor. "Sir, this technology we could learn so much from it. Their weapons, their ships, maybe even how to find them." Miller's eyes gleamed. "Then let's not waste this opportunity. The Zoraxians wanted to hunt us, now we're going to hunt them." 2 months after the second wave of war beasts, Earth had changed. Cities had defensive walls now. Children practiced beast drills in schools. Hunters formed special teams to track beasts in the wild. The world was at war, but humans were not. Losing. In a secret laboratory beneath what used to be Chicago University, Dr. Paul Griffin worked with a team of scientists. They had been studying beast biology and the captured Zoraxian for weeks. Captain Wright and Dr. Thompson stood across from him as he explained his findings. "The beasts aren't just weapons," Griffin said, pointing to diagrams on his screen. "They're living technology. Their DNA can be modified and used for medical treatments. We've developed a new pain medicine from their venom that works better." than anything we've ever had. Thompson picked up a piece of flexible material from the table. It looked like dark fabric but felt stronger than steel. And this? We call it beast weave, Griffin said proudly. Engineer Kelly Martinez figured out how to copy the structure of beast scales. It's lighter than Kevlar but can stop bullets and even resist their acid blood. Wright touched the material. You're saying we can make armor from it? We already are, Director Miller said as she entered the room. Soldiers on the front lines are wearing beastweave vests, but that's not why I called you here. She led them into another lab where the captured Zoraxian was kept. It sat in a special chamber, watching them with hatred in its 6 eyes. It finally started talking, Miller said. The translator has been working overtime. We know where they are now. Wright looked at the alien. Where? Behind Jupiter's moon Europa. Their command ship is hiding there, coordinating the beast attacks. They thought we wouldn't have the technology to find them. Thompson stepped closer to the Zoraxian chamber. Why are they attacking us? There must be easier planets to conquer. The alien's translator clicked as it spoke. Humans are dangerous, advancing too quickly. The Council marked your world for observation centuries ago. You were supposed to destroy yourselves in nuclear war. Instead, you kept growing stronger. Wright understood. You're afraid of us. The alien's scales darkened. The war beasts were meant to break you. No species has ever fought back like this. You are proving why you must be destroyed. Miller smiled coldly. And you're proving why that was a mistake. She turned to Wright and Thompson. We're planning a mission to the command ship. I want you both on it. In a hangar nearby, engineers were working on a stolen drop pod. They had modified it with human technology, including engines and weapons. We've figured out how to control it, Bailey explained as they examined the pod. The Zoraxians' genetic code is needed to operate their tech, but we've synthesized it from samples. We can make their own ships work for us now. Wright looked at the small craft. How many does it hold? 5, Miller said. You, Dr. Thompson, Bailey for tech support, and 2 of our best soldiers. The mission is simple. Infiltrate the command ship, gather intelligence on their fleet, and if possible, sabotage their beast production. Thompson raised an eyebrow. Simple? I didn't say easy, Miller replied. Over the next week, Wright's team prepared for the mission. They trained in beastweave armor and practiced with weapons designed to work against Zoraxians. Scientists had learned the aliens were from a high-gravity world, which made them physically stronger but slower than humans. Dr. Griffin brought them special injections the day before the mission. This contains modified beast DNA, he explained. It will temporarily enhance your strength, night vision, and reflexes. The effects last about 24 hours. Wright looked at the green liquid. Is it safe? Safer than facing Zoraxians without it, Griffin said with a grim smile. As dawn broke on launch day, Wright's team gathered at the hangar. They wore black beastweave armor with helmets designed to protect against Zoraxian weapons. Each carried specialized weapons and tools for the mission. Director Miller addressed them before they boarded. You're about to become the first humans to leave our solar system in a combat mission. The fate of Earth depends on what you learn up there. But remember, this is primarily intelligence gathering. Don't take unnecessary risks. Wright nodded. We'll get what we need and come home. The journey to Jupiter took less time than they expected. The alien technology was far more advanced than human spacecraft. As they approached Europa, Bailey activated the pod's cloaking system. Their sensors won't detect us, she said. We look like space debris. Through the view screen, they saw the Zoraxian command ship for the first time. It was massive, at least a mile long, with jagged edges that reminded Wright of the war beast's teeth. That's a lot bigger than I expected, one of the soldiers whispered. Bailey guided their pod toward a loading bay. According to the data from our captive, supply pods dock here. We should be able to slip in between shipments. The plan worked. Their pod landed in a busy loading area where Zoraxians in work armor moved containers. No one paid attention to one more small pod among many. The beast production facility should be 3 levels down, Thompson said, checking her tablet. And the command center is at the top of the ship. Wright made the decision. We split up. Thompson, you and Bailey head to the beast facility. Learn everything you can about how they're made. I'll take Jenkins and Rodriguez to the command center. They moved through the alien ship using maintenance tunnels described by their captive. The beast DNA injections helped them move faster and see better in the dim light. They avoided Zoraxian patrols when possible and used silent takedowns when necessary. Thompson and Bailey reached the beast production facility first. They hid behind containers, watching in horror as Zoraxian scientists worked on growing new war beasts in massive tubes. They're making them bigger, Thompson whispered. And look, these have armored plates that would stop our current weapons. Bailey connected a device to a computer terminal. Downloading their research now. This is everything about beast biology. And production. Thompson pointed to another area. And that must be where they program the beast's hunting behaviors. We need that data too. Meanwhile, Wright and his team had reached the upper levels. They hid as a group of Zoraxians in ornate armor walked past. Those must be officers, Jenkins whispered. Wright nodded. Follow them. They might lead us to the command center. The officers entered a large chamber with view screens showing Earth. A Zoraxian larger than the others sat in a central chair, his scales a deep purple with gold patterns. Hi, Commander Zikrath, Wright whispered, recognizing. The alien from the transmission months ago, Zikrath was speaking to his officers. The humans continue to resist. Our third wave of beasts must be deployed soon. Wright recorded everything with a small camera in his helmet. The intelligence was valuable, but he wanted more. He signaled his team to move closer, staying hidden, behind equipment. The Galactic Council questions our methods, one officer said. The humans were not approved for full conquest, only observation and containment. Zikrath's scales darkened with anger. The Council is weak. Humans are a threat to the entire galaxy. Their adaptability and aggression make them too dangerous to allow into space. Once they master our technology, nothing will stop them. Wright couldn't help but smile behind his mask. The aliens feared humanity's potential, and they were right to be afraid. The mission was almost complete when an alarm sounded. Intruders detected in beast production, a voice announced through the ship's communication system. Wright activated his comm. Thompson, Bailey, report. Thompson's voice came through, breathless. We've been spotted, but we got the data, and we left a present behind. What kind of present? The kind that goes boom, Bailey replied. Meet at the extraction point in 10 minutes. Alarms blared throughout the Zoraxian command ship. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Wright and his team ran toward the extraction point, fighting their way through panicked alien crew members. Thompson, what exactly did you do? Wright asked through his comm as he fired at a Zoraxian guard. Thompson's voice came back between heavy breaths. We planted explosives in the beast production facility, but that's not what triggered the alarm. Bailey found something better. Found and downloaded, Bailey added. Their entire control system for the war beasts on Earth. We can shut them all down remotely. Wright ducked behind a corner as energy blasts hit the wall beside him. That's great news if we make it out of here alive. We're pinned down on level 3. We're almost to the pod, Thompson replied. Hold on. Rodriguez pointed to a maintenance shaft. Captain, we can bypass the main corridor through there. The shaft was tight, but they squeezed through, emerging 2 sections closer to the extraction point. They could see the loading bay ahead, but at least 20 Zoraxian soldiers stood between them and freedom. We'll never fight through that many, Jenkins whispered. Wright checked his weapons. We don't have to fight. We just need a distraction. He took a small device from his pack, one of Dr. Griffin's experimental weapons based on beast venom. He activated it and threw it toward the far side of the bay. The device exploded into a cloud of green gas. The Zoraxians caught in it began fighting each other in confusion. Beast venom affects their brains, Wright explained. Makes them see enemies everywhere. Let's move. They ran toward the pod where Thompson and Bailey were already waiting. As they reached it, a thunderous explosion rocked the ship. The beast production facility was burning. "Everyone in," Wright ordered. They piled into the pod as Zoraxian reinforcements arrived. Bailey worked furiously at the controls. "Doors closing too slowly," she muttered. "We'll be shot before we can launch." Wright looked back at the approaching aliens, then at his team. "Get us out of here, I'll hold them off." "No," Thompson grabbed his arm. "We all go home, or none of us do." A new explosion tore through the loading bay. High Commander Zekrath himself appeared, his massive form covered in battle armor. "The humans will not leave this ship alive," he roared. Wright raised his weapon, but Thompson pushed past him. She held a small device in her hand. "You made a mistake coming here personally, Commander," she said. Then she pressed a button. Throughout the ship, every screen and console displayed the same message in Zoraxian language. Bailey smiled. "I uploaded a virus to their network. It's broadcasting everything we learned about them to every ship in their fleet." Zekrath roared in fury and charged toward them. Wright and his team fired together, but the commander's armor absorbed the impacts. He reached the pod just as the doors finally began to close. Thompson threw her last weapon, a canister of liquid nitrogen. It burst against Zekrath's face, freezing part of his head. The commander stumbled back, giving them the seconds they needed. The pod door sealed shut. "Go," Wright shouted. Bailey activated the engines, and the pod shot out of the bay into space. "They're launching fighters," Jenkins warned, looking at the sensors. Bailey pushed the engines beyond their limits. "Hang on. I'm taking us into Europa's shadow." The pod rocketed around Jupiter's moon, using its gravity to gain speed. The Zoraxian fighters followed, firing energy weapons that barely missed them. "We can't outrun them all the way back to Earth," Wright said. Thompson looked up from her tablet with a smile. "We don't have to." "Bailey, send the signal." Bailey pressed a sequence of commands. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, to their amazement, the pursuing fighters suddenly veered away, returning to the command ship. "What did you do?" Wright asked. "Remember the control system we stole?" Thompson explained. "It works both ways. We just sent a false emergency recall to their entire fleet." The trip back to Earth was tense, but uneventful. When they landed at the North American Defense Base, Director Miller was waiting with a large team of scientists and military personnel. "Well done," she said as they emerged from the pod. "Your mission has changed everything." In the weeks that followed, Earth scientists used the stolen data to turn the tide of the war. They created a signal that deactivated war beasts remotely. Animals that had terrorized cities and forests simply collapsed, their control systems fried. But the greatest discovery came from Dr. Thompson's analysis of the Zoraxian biological data. "They edited their fears into the beasts," she explained during a global briefing. "The beasts were programmed to be terrified of Zoraxians, so they would obey them. We can use that." The next time Zoraxian ships appeared in Earth's orbit, they faced a surprise. Earth's defense forces had created holographic projections of Zoraxian commanders, broadcasting them alongside sound frequencies that triggered the fear response. The remaining war beasts turned on their masters, attacking Zoraxian landing parties. 6 months after Wright's team infiltrated the command ship, representatives from Earth stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was filled with alien species of all shapes and sizes. High Commander Zekrath stood in disgrace, part of his face still scarred from the freezing injury. Director Miller spoke for humanity. "The Zoraxian Imperium violated your laws by attacking an emerging civilization. They used biological weapons against us without provocation. We demand justice." An elder council member, a tall blue being with 4 arms, leaned forward. "The evidence is clear. The Imperium's actions were unauthorized and illegal. But the Council is concerned about humanity as well. You adapted Zoraxian technology with alarming speed. You turned their weapons against them. You show disturbing potential." Wright stepped forward. "We defended ourselves, nothing more. We don't want conquest. We want to join the galactic community as equals." The Council deliberated for hours before reaching their decision. The Zoraxian Imperium was sanctioned severely. Their war beast program was disbanded forever, and Earth was granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, with certain restrictions on technology and expansion. As they left the council chamber, Thompson walked beside Wright. "They're still afraid of us," she said quietly. Wright nodded. "But now they respect us too. That's a good start." Back on Earth, the last of the beast bodies were being studied. Humanity had gained centuries of technological advancement in a single year. The medical applications alone had revolutionized treatment for diseases once thought incurable. In a quiet moment at the base, Wright found Thompson looking at the stars from an observation deck. "Thinking about what's out there?" he asked. She nodded. "The Zoraxians made a terrible mistake attacking us, but in a way they did us a favor. Without them, we might have spent another century just reaching Mars." Wright smiled. "Now we have ships that can reach other solar systems. We have medicines that can cure almost anything, and we have a seat at the galactic table." "All because they thought we would be easy prey," Thompson said. "That's the thing about humans," Wright replied, looking up at the stars where new opportunities and challenges waited. "We've been prey before long ago. We decided to become predators instead. The galaxy just learned why that was the smartest evolution of all." In deep space, the remaining Zoraxian fleet regrouped around their homeworld. Officer Vexitar, now promoted to replace the disgraced Zekrath, looked at the latest reports from Earth with growing concern. "They're already building their own ships, with our technology," he told his advisors. "They've cured diseases that plagued them for centuries. They've even improved on our designs." An elder Zoraxian shook his head. "We should have left them alone. Now the galaxy must deal with humans forever." Vextar looked at an image of Earth on his screen. The old human saying was right. What doesn't kill them really does make them stronger. He gave orders to increase border patrols along Zoraxian space nearest to Earth's solar system. The humans would be coming. It was only a matter of time. And when they did, the galaxy would never be the same again.